There are some names that don't just light up the screen, they live in the hearts of a nation. Presley Chweneyagae was one of those names. A man whose talent was undeniable, whose humility was refreshing, and whose spirit was, quite simply, magnetic. Today, we're not just talking about a legendary actor. We're talking about a brother, a friend, a force of nature, and through the voice of his close friend Rantebeng, we get a front row seat to the raw, real and unforgettable legacy of Presley.
When you see me, you'll always say, Oriano. Okay, these are friends. These are people who rolled with Presley, daily lives. We've done everything with him. Ma oledi, war frostana, ma oledi, awala tlhagela uli one, re latlhegetswe kaofela. I know it's very sad to lose a child, whereby you're looking up hore, king kiana na tlantswantse ampe, then bese wena ubeya yena is another way round. I understand. Re tlo tsamaya kaofela mona re boele ko magae. Life goes on. Utie sale le modimo. O ishile maki ya gae ko lefatsheng, which proves gore where you come from doesn't determine your destination. You can come from the West and become the greatest. No one will replace another. How tsamaya o tsamaya le everything ya gago. What we can do, we can follow the legacy. Re sa emela gore go tsamaye o one to reproduce. Let us continue reviving bomaba to the wall. It's more the arts. There's too much talent in here. To all the stakeholders, to all the departments of government, to all the organizations, to all the activists, artists, celebrities, icons. It's our responsibility to create our own world that will produce and reproduce us and benefit us. There's a lot we can talk about. Sometimes it's not necessary. To be in Hollywood is not to be in heaven. Yes, we won the Oscar. We brought the Oscar in the country. But Oscar doesn't make you a millionaire or a billionaire. Unfortunately, our country, it's not like America. Yeah, maybe in America, yeah. Ngabe samba ngama RR ngabe basenzela amachopa basishayile neteju. But kodwa sisemzansi eMzansi Africa. Niyayazi country yethu injani. So let's make the situation better. Let us recognize each other while we're still alive. Let's change rules. Let's change the game. But screen at Presley, the repeat and everything, but there's nothing in return. Yeah, don't worry about time. We hijacked the program. The program is perfect now. Yeah, but in conclusion, on my site, we met the year 2000 with Presley. Masishaya Tsotsi. uMandela makazoyibamba ngesandla. Unfortunately, abanye asimbambanga ngesandla boMandela. But abanye bayitholile opportunity. All right. Akuna flop. Alehlanga lungehlanga emdenini.
Gopanele Shalane. I couldn't hold myself. Umona lebana. Tikili dikadirota. That's when I realized how relaxed Senatla Serobit. But one thing that Charlene said to me was that, Rantebeng, don't do that. Let us celebrate my husband's life. O dirile dilo di le dintsi thata gore re ka tla mo re tla go mollela. I want to share that with you, bagaetso. Re le mo kutlo botlhokong e re le mo go yone, ra itse rotlhe kgala re tshegisa, ra itse rotlhe ene le motho wa batho a kgona go nna le rona, ene le motho e leng gore le ha ke bua ka go bosetla yana na tsa batla go bosetla ko plekeng e leng gore it's 5-star or it's 3-star or eng la re ka nna mo tlase ga star ra nna mo godimo ga di-crate o na sa judge batho. There is one thing e Charlie anana lone mo pelong o na sa judge batho and I se ke tsamaye ke motho a re nqa go anybody a go ngaletse gore yang o nana le pelo e ntle e ne le tobetsa o montle a re tlotleng seriti seo sa gagwe. My sister Charlene.
Now, imagine this. The auditorium is packed. It's quiet, heavy with emotion. Rantebeng takes the podium, clears his throat, and for a moment, just a moment, you can feel every single heartbeat in that room pause. And then, he speaks. He begins, Presley, where do I even begin? You were never just an actor. You were a storyteller. And man, you told our stories like no one else could. From the very start, Rantebeng sets the tone. This isn't going to be your average tribute. This is personal. This is 2 decades of friendship, laughter, arguments, dreams, and growing up together under the harsh spotlight of fame and the quiet warmth of friendship. He recalls their first meeting, years ago, on the set of a local theater production before Tsotsi was even an idea. He walked in late, Rantebeng says with a chuckle, with that same Presley swagger. He looked like he already had the lead role, even though he was just there to audition like the rest of us. The crowd laughs. That's the kind of honesty only a real friend can bring to a memorial service. The kind that makes people smile through their tears. Rantebeng speaks of how Presley would always downplay his success. Even after Tsotsi won the Oscar, Presley was still the same guy, arguing over whose turn it was to buy vetkek after rehearsal. That was him. That was Presley, always grounded. But it wasn't just his humility. Rantebeng tells a story about a young actor who was too nervous to speak on set. Presley took him aside, gave him advice, coached him through it, and then made sure the director gave the guy another shot. That young actor, he's now a household name in South Africa. He lifted people, Rantebeng says. Even when no one was watching, he lifted people. At this point, you can hear sniffles from the audience. A few tissues come out. Rantebeng pauses. The silence is deafening. And then he says something that hits everyone straight in the chest. We always talk about giving people their flowers while they're still alive. But Presley didn't need flowers. He had fields. Fields of love, fields of talent, fields of respect from everyone who knew him. He goes on to share how Presley battled behind the scenes. The pressure, the expectations, the media scrutiny, the depression that sometimes knocked on his door. But he never let it show, Rantebeng says. He never let it stop him. That's strength. That's courage. Then comes the lighthearted stuff. Because grief and laughter, they often walk hand in hand. Rantebeng shares how Presley once forgot his lines in a live stage play and just made up dialogue, brilliantly. It worked so well, he laughs, the director actually rewrote the scene around Presley's improvisation. I mean, who does that? Only Presley. The crowd erupts in laughter, and for a moment, it's like Presley is right there with them, grinning in the wings. He speaks of Presley's passion for mentorship. He always said, if I don't help the next Presley, then what was the point? And help he did. From townships to university stages, Presley poured his time into coaching, directing, even funding young artists. Rantebeng also reflects on Presley's fierce pride in his heritage. He always reminded me, we are not just actors. We are griots. We are carriers of culture, of truth, of fire. And maybe that's what made Presley so powerful on screen. He wasn't acting. He was channeling something bigger. Something ancestral. Something divine. As the speech continues, Rantebeng's voice grows softer, more emotional. "I'll miss the debates," he says. Presley could argue with a tree. And win. "I'll miss the WhatsApp voice notes that were actually podcasts. I'll miss his laugh. It came from his belly, and it shook the room." By now, the room is thick with emotion. People aren't just mourning, they're remembering. They're celebrating. And then comes the message that brings it all home. To those of you sitting here, wondering what you can do now that Presley's gone, the answer is simple. Live with passion. Speak your truth. Stand up for what matters. And lift someone else up. That's what he did, every single day. The speech ends with a quote from Tsotsi, "There is another way." Rantebeng looks out at the crowd, eyes glistening, and says, "Presley showed us another way. And now, it's our turn to carry it forward." The room erupts in applause, not just polite clapping, but real, thunderous applause. Because they know what they've just heard isn't just a tribute. It's a challenge. It's a call to live a life that means something. In the end, Rantebeng doesn't just honor Presley Chweneyagae. He introduces us to the man behind the legend. The friend, the mentor, the troublemaker, the visionary. And in doing so, he makes one thing painfully clear: the world lost more than an actor. It lost a heartbeat, a mirror, a dreamer. But as long as his stories are told, as long as young artists walk onto stages with the fire he lit, Presley lives on. In laughter, in love, in legacy. So here's to Presley Chweneyagae. Actor, brother, hero. Gone too soon, but never forgotten.